Harvest Show, where faith makes a world of difference.
And a happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Harvest Show alongside Valerie Lowe. I'm Chuck Freeby. We've got a bang-up show for you today. We've got an award-winning children's author who will join us, Irish Beth Maddock. She has very much a passion to reach little ones with the good news, and she does it one adventure at a time. Also, if you think that you might be a little bit boring in your life, well, don't worry about that. Pastor Mark's going to help you out with today's teaching, how to be the most interesting person in the world. And if you're looking for an ideal place to pray, Brian Bush joins us from the Western Wall. He's got prayers for our viewers. So it's a lot to pack into a half hour. We're glad you've joined us. We try not to bore you with details of what it's like to live here in northern Indiana, but we can't help but talk today. I know a lot of our viewers in New Orleans and Louisiana, you are suffering with flooding. And down in central Indiana, you had tornadoes yesterday, and I hope and pray everybody's okay. We are not immune from it, Valerie. I've lived here for over 50 years. I know you're new to this area,
Yes.
but I've lived here for 50 years, and I've never seen a rainstorm like what we've had in the last 24 hours.
I'm told that this is record-setting rain that we have here in the Midwest. I mean, the crops, there's so much that it affects, Chuck. And as you said, you know, you haven't seen this in, what, some 50 years?
Well,
this is a record-setting.
This is our LeSEA Broadcasting front parking lot as our producer Jason Mumaw came to work today. And he was able to film this because there's not a whole lot of traffic coming down the roads these days. There was over 7 inches of rain yesterday. That's an all-time record for our city in one day. Normally in the month of August, we get about maybe 4 inches of rain over the course of the month, and we had 7 in one day. So there's a lot of people in our town hurting, including our little family here at LeSEA. Some people have flooded basements and homes, and you can see what it's like to try to get into our parking lot today. That's a little Volkswagen Rabbit, and I think it made it through. I don't think it's still there.
Right. Well, I made it through. I got a little nervous coming through, you know, because the flooding was just overwhelming. And, you know, I'm from Florida where I'm used to seeing hurricane weather and rains, but I have never seen it like this and just been so close to it. And, you know, of course, our hearts and our prayers go out to the people in Louisiana. I think there are some 7 people who have died as a result of the flooding. Right. And so we have a lot to be thankful for.
Well, and I know our people down at WHNO in New Orleans, as they're looking at this, they're saying, hey, we made it through Katrina. You people up there in South Bend can survive this, and you're absolutely right. But if you have a little extra thought or prayer for us today, we'll take it because we need a little dry weather here in Indiana to get us through the day. I tell you what, we've got a lot coming up on this edition of Harvest, though, and now I'll give you an update on all those stories we just talked about, plus much more coming up in the world news. It comes your way in just a moment. You're watching The Harvest Show on the LeSEA Broadcasting Network.
Got Facebook? Follow The Harvest Show.
Comment and share your opinions on current events.
See new after the show guest interviews.
Watch my updates and inspiration from Israel exclusively for Facebook.
Facebook.com/The Harvest Show. Like us today.
We are smack dab in the middle of the month on this Tuesday, August 16, 2016. Here's what's happening in your world. I feel like this is a James Taylor newscast today. We see fire and we see rain. We'll start with the fire. A wind-whipped wildfire has roared through a northern California town called Lower Lake. It has wiped out more than 100 houses and businesses and forced thousands of people to flee.
It's so beyond tragic. It's just there was no way to save these homes. They all burnt in a row up there. The winery, I guess, burnt. You know, places I've known for many years and knew the people that owned these places.
The blaze is one of 11 large wildfires in that state where high temperatures and parched conditions brought on by a 5-year drought have raised the risk. In central California, another 2-day-old wildfire has destroyed 12 structures, damaged others. It threatens 200 houses. Meanwhile, 7 people have been killed. More than 20,000 have had to be rescued since Friday in some of the worst flooding Louisiana has ever seen. As of Monday, the rain had mostly stopped, but the rivers and the creeks in many areas are still dangerously bloated, and now new places are getting hit by the flooding.
It's like the end of your life, end of your world, you know, having to start over like that.
Help me understand, man, why you're getting a little caught up.
We worked so hard for it.
More than 11,000 people are staying in shelters, with a movie studio and a civic center that usually hosts concerts and ballets pressed into service. The National Weather Service says several tornadoes touched down in central Indiana Monday, cutting power lines, uprooting trees, and damaging homes. This video courtesy of WRTV. Authorities say a tornado was seen Monday evening 17 miles west of Indianapolis near Danville. A total of 4 towns in Hendricks County, Indiana, had damage from twisters. The storm also dumped a record 6.7 inches of rain on our international headquarters here in South Bend. Elsewhere, Turkish police have launched simultaneous raids on 44 companies suspected of providing financial support to the U.S.-based Muslim cleric Fethullah Gulen's movement. Turkey accuses Gulen of being behind the July 15th failed coup, a claim that Gulen denies. More than 35,000 people have been detained for questioning. Tens of thousands of others have been dismissed from government jobs, including those in the judiciary, media, education, healthcare, military, and the local government. And an airstrike on a Yemeni hospital operated by Doctors Without Borders killed at least 11 people Monday. At least 15 others were wounded. Warplanes attacked the hospital in the northwest province of Hajj. Yemen has been locked in a civil war since the Houthis seized power and overturned the Yemeni government in late 2014. Still to come, Pastor Mark Lantz has today's teaching, but up next, Irish Beth Maddock joins us to talk about her passion to reach children with the good news of the gospel. That's all coming up when the Harvest Show returns after this.
Hi, this is Stefan Radulich with Feed the Hungry, and I want to encourage you to become a Full Life Monthly partner today. Why is that so important? Well, because children like these children at the Kiryandongo refugee camp come to school every day for a hot meal. For all of these kids, this is the best meal they're going to have. For many of them, it might be the only meal that they have on a given day of any month. Because of your monthly support, we can make a monthly commitment to schools like this. It takes $6 a month to take care of one child. So maybe today, you can make that $6 a month commitment, or $12 or $18. Or maybe you can make a commitment of $30 or $60. And for doing that, I want to say thank you and God bless you.
Please act now. These children need your encouragement. They need to know they are not alone. Please call 1-877-769-9270 or visit feedthehungry.org to help a child know how good a full life feels.
Abandoned by her mother at the age of 4 and reared by a working father, Irish Beth Maddock was left to care for her 1-year-old brother. But they lived on a lake where they spent many afternoons discovering God's creation and his compassion. Joining me to talk about her experiences, now chronicled in her new project, is Irish Beth. So tell me, what was it like growing up in, British Columbia, Canada?
Yes, we lived in Vernon, BC, and back in the 1980s, we lived on a lake, and my book is about an experience I had growing up out there.
But you also talk about, in your backstory, how you grew up in a single father home. You were reared by your father, and you had to kind of take care of your 1-year-old brother. So was it like you all going out on different adventures, and you happened to, I guess, discover God right there? Tell us about that part.
Well, writing my story was very healing in regards to past experiences I had. Back in the 70s, my birth mom chose to leave our family, and I was 4 years old. My brother was 1. I remember my dad came home from work and found us alone, and he didn't have supports himself, so he would come home at lunchtime from work to check on us, and he'd be back by supper. So as a 4-year-old, I learned very quickly how to parent my 1-year-old brother, and I also learned very quickly that parents can forsake you. Now, the celebration of God in this scenario is that I realized later in life Jesus was always there, and my brother and I didn't know that, but I see it now, and in writing my story, it was very healing to know that Jesus was always with us in our loneliness.
So did God kind of it seems as though God kind of met you where you were, your four-year-old mind, when you would go down to the lake. So that's the backdrop for the great carp escape. Kind of talk about that, those adventures when you would take your brother to the lake. And what did you discover about God?
Well, just all the different creatures. There were minnows, there were tadpoles, there were Canadian geese, there were blue herons, and being able to be in that surrounding and solitude of God's creation and discovering who He was in those areas, even though there was so much pain going on in our lives. I didn't see it so much then, but just looking back now, I certainly see it now.
And now this is your new project, Perfect Time, summer.
Yes.
I know that you probably, how many children do you have?
I have one.
One, okay, so your child has to read, must be a reader, I'd imagine.
Certainly is.
So what are you trying to tell kids in this adventurous story?
Well, I missed the message that God thinks we're wonderful. I don't want other children to miss this message. This is something that they need to know to help them to make good choices and to know that they are not alone in growing up and being who God has called them to be. The other aspect that I want kids and parents to see in this book is that it is a quiet allegory of the gospel of Jesus, where without God, we're all fish out of water. And God, like the carp in my story, brings us from dead water to living water.
Tell us about the carp. Tell us about the main character.
Well, back in the 80s, there was a flood, and the lake flooded into a pasture near our home, and nearby was a marsh, and they were just full of these ugly, fat, scaly carp. And what happened was they, being bottom-dwelling fish, they congregated in a pond, and as the sun came out, they became landlocked, and the pond started to dry up. So the carp were in a very serious predicament of life or death, and my then 7-year-old brother discovered a very creative way to get the carp back into the lake with friends.
And so then you take children on this adventure and how your brother discovered that. You say you also discovered the compassion of God while going through your own experiences, which you share the compassion of God in this project. Talk about that so that parents who are listening or grandparents can demonstrate that same compassion to their children or grandchildren.
I think it's very important to, even though people or creatures may look different and may be repellent at first, I think it's important to remember that God has made every single one of us beautiful. And the acceptance and understanding, compassion can come when those things arise. So being a voice to the voiceless is another theme that I really believe that the Lord is wanting me to share in this story.
As you tell your story, I can't help but wonder, what about your relationship with your father or your mother who abandoned you? Did she ever come back into the picture?
My birth mom never was able to reconcile with us. I was not able to reconcile with her, and I pray for her, and I pray that God will show her the path that He has for her. My father unfortunately passed away 2 weeks before my first child was born, and I did dedicate the book to him in his memory.
What else do you want parents to know as they, read this project to their kids? Or, how can you jumpstart the process of reading? Because kids now have a screen and a handheld device, and they don't want to read. Or, some can say that they're reading on their handheld device, but I don't go for that line. How do you jumpstart that process?
Well, I first say that reading needs to happen before any screen time does in my home. And then once my daughter has had some reading time, then she's allowed her screen time. Other underlying themes in this story that I think children can grasp onto are working together as a community and as a team. And when we all work together, amazing things can happen for God and for everybody.
Well, tell me about some of the awards, because I see a couple seals on this on the cover. You can see these seals right here. That means that's a big deal.
It is. I was one of those first-time writers who wanted to. I applied for several awards in hopes that my book would win just one award, and the Lord came back with 10 award placements on this book. The awards on the cover, one is the Illumination Book Award in Enduring Children's Picture Book Gold Medal, and the second one is an Illustration Award, and it was done by readers' favorite. I believe the judge was from Walt Disney, so I'm amazed at what God has done.
I mean, what's the secret to your success? I mean, why do you think this message resonates with readers so much?
Well, because it resonated with me. God knocks at my brain at 2 o'clock in the morning, and usually I don't get up and listen, but I did. And the Lord told me that, Irish, you were like the carp in this story, and you swam into bad waters with your bad choices and the sin choices you made in your life, but I have brought you back to living waters. And that is the freedom and the love that I felt when the Lord gave me this impression, and he said, go write this book, use this for my kingdom.
Well, congratulations to you on so many awards for this project. To connect with Irish, go to irishbethmaddock.com or go to harvest-tv.com for a link to her new project, The Great Carp Escape. Harvest continues in just a moment.
Dr. Lester Sumrall was given a global vision to reach 1 million souls every day for Jesus Christ. To fulfill his God-given assignment, he established LeSEA Broadcasting. The ministry today reaches millions of people in more than 190 nations through the power of television, radio, shortwave satellites, free Bibles, and prayer line. But we need your help. Will you join Partners in Faith by giving a monthly gift of $25, $50, $100 or more? Give today by calling 1-800-365-3732 or visit LeSEA.com. Do you sometimes wonder what life would be like if you had the energy to do those extra things you want to do but just can't? Maybe it's to go for a walk after dinner or spend your Saturdays playing with your kids. If you're tired all the time and have decided that you just always will be, guess what? You don't have to be. With Mineral Concentrate from Making Healthy Choices, this fulvic acid electrolyte mineral formula promotes maximum cell function while sparking your body's electrical conductivity. What does that mean? Well, most people say they've never felt better. The best part is it's only $29.95. And if you call now, we'll even pay to ship it to you. So dial 1-800-965-2345 or go to mhclife.com. This electrolyte formula promotes dependable, solid energy day in and day out. So call the number on the screen. Do it for your spouse, your kids, your friends, and most of all, do it for you. Call 1-800-965-2345 or go to mhclife.com. It's time for life.
So how would you like to become the most interesting person in the world? You know, there's a valuable truth about people that I believe will make you a more interesting person. And the truth is this: people are more interested in you when you are more interested in them. Let's look to the scripture in Philippians chapter 2 and verse 4. Well, Paul the Apostle, he said, "Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others." Now, the mold of Christianity has been cast by living the selfless life, a life focused more on others. And I believe that it's time that we step up and we show people that we're more interested in them than we are ourselves. And the way that I've learned to do that is to master the art of asking questions. I've got a firm belief that I can learn something from absolutely anyone that I meet. But the only way to learn something is to stop talking about yourself and start asking questions about others. So, allow me to share with you 3 simple thoughts that will lead you to become a more interesting person by showing interest in others. First of all, ask open-ended questions. When I look at the teachings of Jesus, he taught more by asking questions than he did by lecturing and by preaching. He would ask questions like in Matthew 5:47, when he said, "If you salute your brethren only, what do you more than others? Do not even the publicans so?" Or after healing the man sick of the palsy, he asked in Matthew 9, "Whether it's easier to say, 'Thy sins be forgiven thee,' or to say, 'Arise and walk'?" Why did Jesus ask questions? Because he wanted people to really think about what he was saying. He wanted to engage them in a conversation that went below the surface and really got to the issue of who they were and where they were living. Because you see, transformation only comes when we are willing to break through the surface of life, dig deep into our hearts, see how and where we need to change. And the reason is because Proverbs 4:23 says, keep your heart with all diligence because out of it are the issues of life. Listen, it's time that you and I get beyond the surface. Stop asking questions that can be answered with a yes or a no. Let's start asking questions that lead to a deeper, a richer conversation. I've got 2 more principles I'm going to share with you later this week, but your goal today, get out of yourself. Become interested in others. Ask some questions that will lead change not only in their lives, but in yours as well. And let's get on this quest together to become the most interesting person in the world. Right now here at LeSEA Broadcasting, we have the privilege of praying with you on the issues of your life, and standing by in Israel right now is Brian Bush with our prayer request. Let's go to Brian right now. Let's go to the Lord in prayer together.
Well, thank you, Pastor Mark. You know, life is so cluttered, so busy, so confusing. Friends, we are interested in you, and we want to see God lead change both in your life and in the life of LeSEA Broadcasting. That's why we pray, and we're so privileged to be able to pray for your prayer requests right now from here in Jerusalem. Mary Ann in Georgia, she wrote in and said, I have several needs, and I'm asking you to agree that God would give me a job, a godly mate, and give me a place to live. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, provider of all, help Mary Ann to seek you first, and all these other things will be added unto her. Her request is from the heart, and we know you will honor that. Next up is Cindy in Ohio. I need God's favor in order to get back to Honolulu. Let's pray together. God of love, we know you have designed our lives, and we ask your favor over Cindy and her desire to return to Honolulu. And we ask, Lord, for your favor upon all associated with LeSEA Broadcasting in every way, workers and viewers, for the glory of your kingdom. Amen. Friends, contact prayer line anytime.
LeSEA Prayer Line. For 70 years, we've been using shortwave radio to reach many in developing countries with the gospel. We're so thankful for your support, which has helped continue the work Dr. Lester Sumrall began. And through your gifts and prayers, we are excited to continue transmitting God's Word by shortwave radio to every major continent in the world, sharing the good news of Jesus with those who simply can't be reached any other way.
And I'll praise you in this storm, and I will lift my hands. You are Jesus, you alone are worthy of.
Dear friend of mine named Rich Mullins, my deliverer is coming, my deliverer is standing by.
It's Tuesday, and you know what that means. It's time for our special segment we call Ask Pastor Mark Lantz a Question. You can send in your questions to live@lesea.com or the Harvest Show Facebook page. Pastor Mark is here with us. He made it through the water and the rain.
Absolutely. My waders on.
So did you walk on water to get here?
I didn't. Well, I wish I could say that I did, but I have to be honest, but I didn't. I had my waders on, so I walked through the water.
Okay.
Through the flood.
So you have a question
we
for
do,
us.
yes. I love these questions. And this is actually sent in by a pastor. And he asked the question, he said, how do I keep my team of leaders motivated and inspired through difficult times? And I think all of us in leadership know there's some tough times, there's some difficult times that we have to go through. And to keep people inspired is sometimes a very trying task as a leader. But I've always known people love to be on a winning team. I mean, that's why you see coming up on Saturdays, you know, in the fall, on Sundays in the fall, people, what do? They decorate themselves, they paint their faces, they go to the stadium, they cheer for their team. Why? Because they love to be on a team. We've got to understand as leaders, your people, no matter how difficult it becomes, they want to be on a team. And that means we've got to keep the mission in front of them. We can't get stuck in the weeds. We can't get stuck by the problems. And as a leader, it's important that you continue to ask 3 questions. Number 1, what are we doing? Always define that with a very simple statement. What's our mission? Number 2, why are we doing it? What's the emotion behind our mission? And number 3, what's our role? Remind your leaders what is it that they specifically have to do in order to fulfill that mission. Don't let interpersonal conflict, don't let little problems that rise, whether it's in the church or whether it's in the business, don't let those problems take you away from the mission and the vision. That means you've got to repeat it. That means you've got to talk about it. That means you've got to keep it front and center at all times. And I believe that's the most effective way to keep people inspired through difficult times.
And I'd imagine those same principles can be applied to people sitting in the pew. I mean, in your everyday life, if you apply those same principles, then you'll probably get a good result.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. And I think we lose the why behind what we do, and we get bogged down with just the daily laborious tasks of everyday living. We've got to know why we do what we do. The purpose is to glorify God in everything we do.
And God has given us very creative ways to glorify Him. So, you know, just get out there and let the Lord use you and ask Him to breathe on your gifts and your talents and your abilities. Thank you so much for joining us here on Harvest. We will see you again tomorrow.
You know, there are so few things in this world that you can count on anymore, especially when it comes to our financial future and planning for retirement. We live in a dynamic world defined by change, but when it comes to securing our retirement income, we want stability, not uncertainty. And that's why I consistently talk about charitable gift annuities. A gift annuity provides a safe and steady income stream which is fixed for life, and you are investing into changing lives for Jesus Christ at the same time. If you are over 49 and a half years of age and you have at least $10,000 in a savings account or CD, call us today. Let us show you how you can have at least one form of retirement income that you can count on. When you lay up your treasure in heaven, you can count on it being there, waiting for you. So call us today and let us help you have a secure income for the rest of your life.
What if I told you that there's a place full of loved ones' photos that gets prayed for regularly? Prayer offers a direct line to God, so who couldn't use a little more of it? Getting yourself or your loved ones on this wall is as easy as click and send. The chapel at LeSEA Prayer Line has a wall of love that's waiting to be filled up. Just email your pictures to prayer@lesea.com. That's it. Our chapel has been a focal point for prayer for the last 18 years. Let our prayer team pray for you.
The Harvest Show is produced by LeSEA Broadcasting and is viewer supported by people just like you. Thank you for inviting us into your home today.